Hi, YouTube. All right, what I want to talk about tonight is bitterness, becoming cynical, and the effect that this can have on your life and the relationships in your life. Okay, first of all, before we even get into this, we need to define bitter and cynical. All right, when I looked up bitter on the internet, bitter had 7 definitions, but only 2 stuck out in my mind. The first one that stood out in my mind is definition number 5, which states that bitter is characterized by intense antagonism or hostility. And number 7, bitter is resentful or cynical. And now we go into what cynical is. Cynical is to be like or have the characteristic of a cynic, which is when you become distrusting or disparaging of the motives of others. And also, cynical is when you become bitterly or sneeringly distrustful, contemptuous, or pessimistic. Okay, now that we've defined this and we know what bitter is, first of all, let's talk about what can cause someone to become bitter and cynical. Everyone in this world, at least the majority of the people in this world, suffer some type of hardship. They have some type of struggle. They have some type of trial or tribulation to go through. And a lot of these people, they emerge from these trials and tribulations even stronger than they were before. But sometimes people can have repeated negative experiences, and those experiences hurt deeper than it would some people, and it leads that person to become bitter. Basically it goes like this. First of all, the person feels pain because of the negative experience that's going on. That pain turns to anger. That anger turns to hate. And that hate causes that person to become bitter and cynical. So, so basically, what can lead to someone becoming bitter or cynical? Having repeated negative experiences and not dealing with their anger and their pain correctly. Because if you deal with your anger and your pain correctly, you won't become cynical. You will be able to acknowledge it and let it go. But if you don't deal with it correctly, you'll become bitter and cynical. And this is what bitter and cynical may look or sound like. For example, let's look at romantic relationships. Say you have a girl or a boy who is involved with a person who cheated, lied, manipulated, and just overall used this person. They just used them. They didn't appreciate them, and they cheated on them. They lied. All the kind of things. And let's say this went on repeatedly for years. And when it finally ends, this person is the pain is so much that this person has become angry, and they haven't been able to deal with their anger. So now they cannot tell the difference between a good person and a bad person. They can't tell the difference between a good woman and a bad woman. They can't tell the difference between a good man and a bad man. They're all bad. So now you might hear a girl say, well, all men are dogs. All men cheat. All men lie. Or you might hear a dude say, all women cheat. All women lie. You know? And they cannot tell the difference between a good woman and a bad woman, or a good man and a bad man. Everybody's the same. Everybody's cheating. Everybody's lying. We know that's not true, but a bitter person, like, a bitter person may know that logically there are good men and good women out there who don't lie or cheat or manipulate or use you. But emotionally, see the heart? Yeah, emotionally, they can't feel that. They don't believe that emotionally. Like, emotionally, it's just not clicking. Emotionally, they feel like everyone's a dog. They feel like everyone, sleeps around. Everyone lies. Everyone uses people. So now they can't tell the difference. So any person they get with after their ex is going to bear the brunt of that bitterness. That person is going to might be, accused for cheating, even though they haven't done anything to even make them think that. They might be accused of lying, even though they have not lied to them at all. All kinds of things. And let's look at just normal relationships, like friendships and relationships in your family. Let's say you have a group of friends and you were, when you first met them, you were this very, very nice and giving person, very kind, just willing to help people because you care about them. But let's say your group of friends took advantage of that. Let's say they, always took, always take, but never give anything to you. You know, you would always be willing to give them a ride when they need it, but when you called because you were stranded on the street, they were nowhere to be found. So let's say this happened repeatedly. And now this person walks around believing everyone is bad and that no one can be trusted. This person walks around thinking that no one is, that there's no such thing as a true friend, that, all people want to do is use you and manipulate you to get what you have, or to, get something out of you. They don't really care about you. So this person may now, next time they meet somebody, might be a complete and utter jerk to them. They might not do anything for them. Anything they ask, they reject it because they think if I do one thing for you, you'll take advantage with it. And then all of a sudden, they start, and because they feel they can't trust anyone, they start to put a barrier between them and their friends. And the same thing can happen with a romantic relationship. There is not a barrier between you and whoever you're with. When you can't trust somebody and you believe that someone has ulterior motives, or that someone, is, just going to harm you, you cannot have a full connection with that person or with those people. It's not possible. So now you're running around living life limited, full of anger and pain, believing everyone, is messed up, everyone is rude, everyone is a user, everyone is a manipulator, everyone's an abuser, everyone's a cheater, everyone's a liar. You're running around here with those kinds of thoughts. You don't fully connect with people, so, in life there's always just going to be this wall between you and other people, and you're just living a limited life. It's not fulfilling. You're not living a full life. And so, that's what it looks like, and that's what it can do. And it can also happen with God, because if you don't trust anybody, how can you trust God? God created you. He put you here. And if you're distrusting other people around you, you might be like, why he let this happen to me? Or why this or why that? So now you can't even trust God. And when you can't trust God, you end up having a limited relationship with God. And that's just not going to work. You cannot have a limited relationship with God and expect to experience everything God has to offer. It's not possible. So, what should a person, also with the God thing, before I get onto the other stuff, when you don't trust God, you won't be open and honest with God, which is what God wants. He wants you to be open and honest with him. So you won't be open and honest with him. You won't ask him for what, you want, because you probably believe he won't even give it to you or won't care. And not only that, you won't lean on him the way he wants you to. You won't trust him the way he wants you. You won't follow him the way he wants you to, because you don't trust him to lead you in the right direction or to have your best interest in heart. So therefore, your relationship with God is limited. And really, at the end of the day, you really don't have a real relationship with God. But anyway, this is what you can do to get rid of bitterness and to stop yourself from becoming cynical. First and foremost, do not ignore your feelings. Do not pretend like your experiences did not happen. Do not ignore the fact that you're angry, that you're hurt, or confused, or whatever it is. Acknowledge that. And once you acknowledge those feelings, discuss them. It's not going to go away overnight. And, so you have to acknowledge them, and you're going to just have to let them, if you're angry, go punch a pillar or something. Just feel your anger out. Or if you're sad, just cry. Cry your sadness out. Do something instead of letting it sit there and bottle up, because that's going to add up to nothing but more bitterness. But also, if you can find somebody that you would even be willing to trust, and that has shown that they can possibly be trusted, confide in them. Confide in them, talk to them, and let them know. Have someone that you can talk to when you're feeling angry or when you're feeling this pain. Someone who's not going to condemn you. Find that person. And that way, whenever you're having a down moment or an angry moment or whatever, you have them to talk to. But, once you've acknowledged your feelings and you're dealing with them and you're letting them out, later on, you're going to have to let them go. You're going to have to let it go. I'm not saying forget what happens, because I believe that people should remember what happens, because If we don't know our history, we are doomed to repeat it. But you should be able to look back on those experiences without anger or pain, but with more understanding. And just, the simple fact that it was a lesson and you learned it and you moved on and now you're going to do better. So once you've dealt with your emotions, you got to let them go. Let them go. You start letting them go by just living your life, by no longer dwelling on the past. You just let it go and you live your life. And sometimes the symptoms of negative experiences don't fully go away, but you have to be able to realize that if somebody has shown you that they can be trusted, it's okay to trust them. I don't think anybody should go in, trusting a person 100% completely. So to avoid getting hurt again, instead of being bitter, when you meet a new person in your life, do them like this. Okay, let's say you meet this new person. I believe that, and if so far, through the time that you've known them, they have shown that they are trustworthy and reliable and they have done nothing to make you think otherwise, I say it's okay. It's okay to, trust them, but make sure, start them off with a blank slate. Start them off with a blank slate and, see how they do, and if this person has been consistent and reliable and trustworthy to you, I think it's okay to trust them. If they do, however, show their true colors, if their true colors are, that they're untrustworthy and that they're out to get something else from you, cut it down, trust them less, and don't engage with them as much. You have to treat everyone as an individual. Not everyone is bad. Not everyone is good. But we cannot live life running around with anger and pain and fear, because a lot of bitterness is about fear. Being bitter and cynical is just another way to protect yourself from pain and hurt. But we can't keep running because we'll miss out just on everything life has to offer. And if you're going to live on this earth, why have a limited experience when you can have a full experience?